From 27 News WKOW, this is breaking news.
A CDC panel says we should start using the Johnson & Johnson vaccine again. Good evening, I'm George Smith. The panel voted 10-4 in favor of the recommendation this afternoon, with one person abstaining. The CDC director still has to sign off on the recommendation, and then the FDA will prepare an amended emergency use authorization. The FDA will also update the vaccine's label, indicating that women under the age of 50 should be aware of the risk of blood clots. Health officials say 15 people got blood clots and 3 of them died. That's out of nearly 8 million people. The CDC panel said the vaccine's benefits outweigh the risks. More than 165,000 people in Wisconsin got the J&J vaccine before it was paused. There have now been more than 2 million Pfizer shots and 1.7 million Moderna shots. Altogether, 41% of adults in the state have had at least one shot. 30% are fully vaccinated.
Wisconsin has reached a big vaccination milestone. 33% of people have gotten at least one dose of a coronavirus vaccine. That is nearly 2 million people. It's almost 4 times the number of people who've ever had COVID-19 in the state. More than 500,000 people have tested positive during the pandemic. Doctors say the state's momentum is good news. New tonight at 10, Caroline Dade has you covered on what it means for reaching herd immunity. 1 year ago, this was a pivotal week in the coronavirus pandemic. On March 9th, 2020, Wisconsin confirmed its second case of COVID-19. 2 days later, the World Health Organization announced the outbreak had become a global pandemic. On March 12th, Governor Evers declared a health emergency. Then President Donald Trump declared a national emergency the very next day. Since then, more than 29 million Americans have had COVID-19. More than 500,000 here in Wisconsin. More than 500,000 people have died in the U.S., more than 6,000 in Wisconsin. But a year later, we've turned a corner. Fewer than 7,000 people have COVID-19 right now. Hospitalizations are below 250. The game changer is now vaccines. More than 10% of people in Wisconsin are fully vaccinated. More than 1 million people have gotten at least one dose. And starting this week, Wisconsin will give out 47,000 doses of the new Johnson & Johnson vaccine. That only requires one shot. With 3 different vaccines now approved to fight the virus, the newest one is raising moral concerns. Some in the Catholic Church are worried about how the vaccine is produced. New tonight at 10, Caroline Dade is getting answers on why faith leaders are uneasy, but why ultimately they and doctors say you should get the shot. Right now, a group of more than a dozen Asian restaurant owners are petitioning the city of Madison not to place a homeless shelter near their businesses. Dane County and the city are hoping it will be a permanent shelter to replace the temporary one off East Washington right now. The restaurants are inside the Global Market near East Town Mall, and the proposed shelter is a block away. Francisco Almanara has you covered tonight on their concerns and why one Dane County official says that location is the best choice. In January, we told you about President Biden's plan to change how many refugees are allowed to come to the U.S. every year. But that plan has not been put into action. The president said he wanted to increase the number of refugees who settle in the U.S. by more than 300%. President Trump had lowered the cap each year he was in office, ending at 15,000. Biden's goal is to admit 62,500 refugees. But 2 months into his presidency, Biden still hasn't lifted the cap, and it's making an impact here in southern Wisconsin. New tonight at 10, Caroline Dade is digging deeper to see how the wait is impacting Madison's only refugee resettlement agency.
Theaters, museums, and other entertainment venues will soon get some help from the federal government. It comes from a $900 billion package President Trump signed into law in December. $325 billion of that was the Small Businesses, Nonprofits, and Venues Act. $16 billion was just for venues and $2 billion for venues with fewer than 50 employees. Here in Madison, we have some venues like that, and they're hopeful for a share of that money. Francisco Almanara has you covered tonight on how one venue has struggled over the past year and how this grant will help them bounce back.
Nurses at Unity Point Health Merica Hospital in Madison now have a contract avoiding a strike. The system finalized the deal this morning after reaching a tentative agreement last night. The nurses union had been threatening to strike and had filed a federal lawsuit that has now been withdrawn. The deal has many involved breathing a sigh of relief. The new contract includes expanded and replenished paid time off for nurses who had to use up their leave during the pandemic, improved extra shift pay, improved base increase pay and the opportunity for nurses to have a greater voice in decisions during current and future public health crises. Francisco Almenara talked with one nurse about how he's feeling today and the next steps moving forward. A walk-up only coronavirus vaccine clinic at a Madison church drew hundreds this afternoon. The line stretched for blocks on a dreary morning. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Cleasy. The clinic at Trinity United Methodist Church was an impromptu partnership with two local pharmacies. They had 600 doses of the Pfizer vaccine to give out and no trouble finding people to give them to. Francisco Almenara has you covered tonight on the clinic's popularity and why one doctor says this strategy should be used again.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
A group marched across downtown Madison and is rallying right now in support of marginalized people against police brutality and in a show of unity. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Cleasy. Those activists are specifically demanding justice for Dante Wright. He was shot and killed by a Minnesota police officer a week ago. That officer resigned and claimed she meant to fire her taser. Caroline Dade has been following this group in Madison and is with them right now as their demonstration continues. What are they saying tonight, Caroline?
This is 27 News at 10, voted best evening newscast.
Fully vaccinated people can visit with other fully vaccinated people in small gatherings indoors without wearing masks or physical distancing.
Life can finally start returning to normal for people who've gotten the coronavirus vaccine. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Cleasy in for George and Amber. The CDC announced new guidelines this afternoon. People who are fully vaccinated will still need to wear masks and keep a distance in public, keep gatherings small, and get tested if they get COVID-19 symptoms. But they can have small gatherings with each other and people who are not vaccinated.
From 27 News WKOW, this is breaking news.
We'll get to those stories in just a minute, but we start with two breaking stories tonight. Authorities are responding to a shooting at a Green Bay area casino right now. A suspect has just been arrested after what had been an active shooter situation. A spokesperson for the Oneida Casino said people had been shot at that casino, but we don't know how many or how they're doing right now. Our Green Bay affiliate says police are still securing the scene. People are being asked to avoid the casino on Highway 172. It is closed right now. The casino is not far from the Austin-Straubel Airport. Also breaking right now, authorities have issued a silver alert for this man, 82-year-old Harley Welsh. He left Knapp's Motel in Fenimore around noon today. He may be in the Verona area right now. Authorities say he called his wife to say he wasn't feeling well and was coming home to Fond du Lac, but never made it. He has a tattoo of the word Martha on his arm, and he's likely driving a Mazda SUV with a Florida license plate. It has a Green Bay Packers frame on the front plate. Anyone who sees him should call Fond du Lac police. We first told you about both of those stories on the 27 News Now app. As we learn more about them, we'll always bring you the latest information there. We're still following two breaking stories tonight. A suspect arrested after an active shooter situation at a Green Bay area casino. A spokesperson for the Oneida Casino said people were shot, but we don't know how many or how they're doing right now. The casino is not far from the Austin-Straubel Airport. And breaking right now, an 82-year-old Harley Welsh is found safe. He had been missing from the Fenimore area, but just a few minutes ago, he was found safe in Verona, so the silver alert was canceled. We'll keep following the casino shooting, and we'll have updates online and on Wake Up Wisconsin tomorrow morning.